Right, let's just move out the sun a bit. And having seen a few people on the beach, I'm going to add a figure. I usually try and add a figure to add a bit of scale and interest to the scene. So just very simple with some ultramarine, blue, and a little bit of burnt sienna just for a dark shape. And then a little bit of red touch of alizarin on the figure. And very simple, just so that it reads correctly. Okay, a few more details in the foreground sand. These suggested shadows, which I have improvised. I don't normally do that, but I didn't want the foreground just to be too flat. So I improvised those shadows, and with the palette knife bringing in a few thicker passages of paint. When I do this with a palette knife, sometimes I'll brush it again, just keeping an eye on that edge, softening it up a bit. And a few sticks, a few dark accents are also important. It's not just about highlights, it's also dark accents can do a similar sort of function and bring interest into sort of flat areas. So look around your scene, get inspired by what is there, use what you want to use. Big brush, sometimes the palette knife just a little too, how to put it, a little too hard in the shape, so loosen it up again with the big brush. That water's edge, the wet sand, just bringing that around a bit. Of course, the curving beach and water's edge is also a nice compositional element to take the eye into the painting. Adjusting these edges and shapes a little, just subtle differences. Working into the waves, touches of a desaturated green, just a slightly darker in value. A wave is made up of different value shapes from dark through to light. A few little touches. The sand does come in a bit. Getting to the end stages of at least what I'm trying to achieve here. And now it's small touches. Sometimes you can overdo it, so do it sparingly, and you can always add in back at the studio. If something really needs to be in there, then put it in. Suggestion of a bit of dune grass here and there, also just to break up shapes. And as I mentioned in the beginning, I need to break up these large shapes on the sand dune as well. Adjust edges too, keep them soft. Just softening up this edge a bit. Right, let's pack this away for safe travel. I thought I'd demonstrate the matchstick spacer method. Not something you should do without some caution, and as a last resort, if you don't have a wet panel carrier, then this will have to do, because I certainly can't cycle back to the studio with a wet painting that's unprotected. So with the spacers in, I sandwich the wet painting to the dry panel. The gap is there, so tape it all up nice and tight and secure, and it should be okay for a short trip back. As last resort, this will have to do. And finish up. Well, that's been our painting expedition today on the beach in Port Alfred. Can't really ask for much more than this. And hopefully the painting turned out okay. I have a close look at it in the studio, but when I'm out here, I'm more or less painting almost instinctively. I'm not fussing about the painting. I just want to get a feel of the scene and experience it firsthand. It's completely different from being in the studio. So utterly different. It can sometimes be a shock to the system because your comfort zone is completely missing. So you've got to guts it out. You can be quite overwhelmed, not know what you're doing, but you just persist, just go for it. Just put down paint, look for lights and darks, put those down, look for the big shapes. Don't think about details. Do that back at the studio. This is about getting in touch with your subject. If you reach a stage in your painting and you really don't know what else to do, better then to just stop. Just sit, look at the scene, try and fathom out what are the colors you're looking at. Just absorb, be like a sponge, absorb the feeling, absorb the colors, the smells, the light. And enjoy it. Enjoy that moment, and maybe you can take those feelings, or I'm almost certain you will be able to take those feelings, the experience, back to the studio, and it'll enrich your painting, and you'll feel a lot more freedom back there painting as well. But anyway, I think time to hit the road, get on the bike, take a ride back, have a cup of tea, and then have a look at the painting. Hope you've enjoyed this little outdoor experience with me, and hopefully we can do a few more. I really do enjoy sharing these moments. Not always easy to capture it on camera, but it's been fun. Okay, back to the studio. And indeed, so let's have a look at this painting. Did it survive? Let's get all the tape off, open it up, and I hope it's not too smudged. But okay, looking alright. A few matches moved around. Easy to fix that up, and there it is, done. Happy.
fuck is going on here? Look at this fucking idiot. Something very fucking funky going on today. Right, you. I see. Sopped off. Let's go have a look. Oh, this looks really good. Beautiful views everywhere. So what to paint? I think that looks like a good one. like